Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Detective vs. Sleuths, a Hong Kong action thriller from 2022 that stars Lau Ching Wan and Charlene Choi. It was directed by Wai Ka-fai, who worked with Johnny To on a bunch of movies, some of which he co-directed. Detective vs. Sleuths could be considered like a spiritual successor to Mad Detective from 2007, and Blind Detective from 2013. Kind of a thematic trilogy. I'm not sure if it's an official thematic trilogy or not, but I have seen it referenced as such. So we have Lee Jun, played by Lau Ching Wan. He's a former police chief inspector and elite detective in OCTB who has been expelled from the police force after a serious mental breakdown. He embarrassed the police headquarters due to his belief that they were wrongly identifying suspects in two separate murder cases. And years later, a series of high-profile murders are being perpetrated by a group of culprits who call themselves the Sleuths. And they're essentially a vigilante group who believes that they are killing the real murderers who got away with their crimes. And then we have a lady inspector played by Charlene Choi who teams up with Lau Ching Wan's character to solve the case. And this movie kind of felt like an older Hong Kong movie to me, at least in terms of the pacing. It's almost too wild at times, and things can get a bit confusing because the plot moves very fast. I mean, the opening 5 minutes in particular are kind of a whirlwind because they introduce both of the murder cases back to back. And the police-related resolutions, at least the suspects that were captured or killed. And it does this in a very rushed manner, kind of throws you into things. But the story does clear up as it progresses. Still feels a little bit sloppy at times, I think. Like when the twists and the revelations are eventually presented. They're pretty good, but not particularly impressive, in my opinion. However, I will say, this movie definitely held my interest, because it focuses very much on this main conflict of these technically unresolved murder cases and our main protagonist, which means that there's very little to no filler material in this. It moves, all right? And I am a pretty big fan of that, even if it does move a bit too fast. And to the film's credit, the interactions between the detective and the vigilante sleuths does operate in kind of a gray zone or a multi-dimensional aspect. I won't tell you why, but the interactions between him and the sleuths it's almost like they fight each other a lot throughout the film, and the cops come in and some other groups come in as well. But they are both in agreement that these murder cases were wrongly investigated, and the true criminals still need to be brought to justice. So you kind of have this overlap between how they view the situation and the conflicts, even though they're kind of fighting each other. And I kind of like that. It was pretty neat. Now, if you've seen Mad Detective, you may remember that Lau Ching Wan played the lead in that movie. He was quite the nutcase in that film, and he's equally nutty in Detective vs. Sleuths, even though he's playing a different character. He does some very reckless and crazy things that could get him killed. At the same time, however, he figures stuff out, usually before the other characters. So, as a viewer, at the beginning, I was wondering if this guy actually had psychic abilities, or if he was simply great at deductive logic and investigation. And Lau plays the character very well, and it's unsurprisingly one of the strongest elements of the movie is his performance. I've been following Charlene Choi's career for almost 2 decades. I've always felt that she was a pretty good actor, and she does a good job here. But this is Lau Ching Wan's vehicle. The action is pretty satisfying. You get some bloody violence. As you might expect, there are chases and shootouts involving a number of characters. A few of the big set pieces are like a shootout in an apartment complex where our protagonist engages in a gunfight without an actual gun. And I'll leave you to see what happens there. It's kind of a crazy scene, but I liked it. There's a fight on a bus. It's coupled with a shootout at an industrial harbor location. And then we get the big finale, which takes place at the harbor. None of the shootouts are going to blow you away, pun intended, but I did enjoy them. I think the action was good. During the third act, the villain is unmasked, and they are nicely ruthless. Pretty ruthless villain. Like to see that. Do some things that are very cold-blooded, and it gave the film a little bit of an edge, which I liked. So I think when all is said and done, Detective vs. Sleuths is simply just like a good, solid action thriller. I do think that Mad Detective was a better made film overall. Probably had a better script and that type of thing. But this is a movie that I will watch again, and I do actually have it in my personal collection. It was a recent physical media purchase. It is available on Blu-ray and DVD, and you can find it on eBay or DDD House. So, yeah, I recommend this one. And as always, folks, I'll see you next time.